All right, welcome to the next video. In this video, we're going to be covering the turret enemy, which is an enemy that shoots bullets. But before we did that, I wanted to show you a working version of the laser rotator with the stop at walls command. So before, when it was rotating, it will stop at the walls regardless of whether you have this checked or not. I want to show you how that is when it works. So right now it's stopping at walls. If I uncheck it, you see now it's going through walls. That may be something you want, like if you want to put walls close around the turret, but you want it to go through. You know, it's up to you. But if you check it, it will stop when it collides, and if you don't check it, it will continue to go through what it collides with until it hits its length. So you see, a big old laser that goes through everything, or a big old laser that only gets big when it's not hitting something. All right. So now we're going to create a turret enemy. So first thing I want to do is make a new area for the turret to live in. I don't want it to live in the same area as the laser rotator. So I'm going to select this wall and hit Command or Control D. Move it so it's about there. Then I'm going to click this wall, duplicate it, move it so it's here, and then duplicate it again and move it there. So now we have a little alcove. I'm going to move it back just a bit so it's easier to see. We're going to check the player, and we're going to move it backwards. Now I want to move the camera too. So I'm going to, on the Apple, I'm holding down Command and I click the camera, but on Windows, you can hold Control and click the camera, and that will select it. And then I'll drag everything back. So there. Maybe I'll drag it a little bit to the left so you can see everything. Yeah, there. That's good. Okay, now we got to create the object that will be the enemy. So we're going to create 3D object, cylinder, and we're going to drag it and put it in its little alcove. And then we're going to add a turret script to it. Now just as soon as we added that script, you'll notice that there was a little bubble that comes out of the side. This indicates the direction that it's going to fire, and this little bubble indicates where the bullet is going to spawn. So when I make these things, I like to make a little gun for it so that the player will be able to see when this thing's rotating and shooting. So click on the cylinder, which we're going to name turret, duplicate it, and we're going to take the duplicated one and call it gun, and then from the gun we're going to remove the turret script. So just to walk you through that, you click on the gun, you come over here to turret script, you click on this little gear and you click remove component, and that will take the script off. We only want the turret to be on the turret itself, not on this little gun. Then we're going to rotate the gun this way, which is on the x-axis, 90 degrees. We're going to scale it. So we'll grab this little center position and scale it down on the whole thing, and then move it forward so that just the tip of it touches where the bullet's going to spawn. Now, if I were to run this right now, I'll press play, and you'll see a red bullet will spawn for just a second on the tip of the gun and then disappear. The reason that's happening is because the gun has collision. So the bullet will collide with the gun and explode immediately. So I'm going to remove this collider from the gun. So I'm going to click here and click remove component. And now when I press play, the bullets will actually come out of the gun. The next thing we want to do is we want to parent the gun to underneath the turret. So we're going to take the gun, drive it to the turret, and now when you rotate the turret or move the turret, the gun will also move. Let's rotate this 90 degrees so it's pointing this way, and let's move it so it's there. Let's go there. So now if I press play, you'll see it start shooting bullets straight ahead. Okay, that's the default version of the turret. The turret will just shoot bullets straight ahead forever. So let's go into the turret script and see how all these things work. So shoot on LOS only. That means if the turret has a line of sight to the player, it will shoot. If it doesn't, it won't. So by default, it will shoot always. And even if I go and hide behind this wall and the turret can't see me, it will keep shooting. If I turn shoot on LOS only off, you see it stopped shooting, and now once I come out of hiding and it can see me, it will start shooting again. So that basically means if you can draw a straight line from the turret to the player, it has line of sight. If that line is blocked by any collision, it doesn't have line of sight. Okay, so we're going to leave shoot on LOS only on. LOS length is how long the line is to the player. So if you turn this on and the player gets out of that range, it won't be able to see him. So the next thing, I'll use that as an example since that's not incredibly obvious. So shoot on LOS only. You'll notice he stops shooting. Even though he can see me, it's because I'm too far away. If I get closer, then he sees me again and he can shoot. So we're going to leave that off for now. Damage to the player, that's how much damage the player takes. You'll remember the player has a certain number of health. So they have 100 health. Every bullet that hits the player will do 10 damage to the player. So 10 bullets will kill the player. You can move this up or down as much as you want. If you take it, I think you can take it into negative numbers. If you take it into negative numbers, it will heal the player. How fast the shot goes. So to start with, the shot speed is 2, and it shoots these little bullets that are not very fast. But I'm going to increase it, and you'll see that now the bullets are going faster. Okay? Not to be confused with shot timer. Shot timer is how many seconds in between shots. So if I take this number down, it will shoot faster. And if you take it up, it will shoot slower. But shot speed controls the speed of the bullet itself. You can take this really low. And shot timer is how often you shoot. Something must have got confused there because it stopped shooting. But you'll see, it gets more and more often the smaller it gets. Now, you can have it shooting so often that the bullets will collide with each other. You probably don't want to do that. You probably want to keep this at a minimum at like, 0.1 or 0.2 seconds. But it really depends on how slow the bullet goes, because the slower the bullet goes, like if this goes really slow, 0.1, they might start hitting each other and blowing up. So you won't be able to tell. Yeah. So anyway, don't have the bullets run into each other. That's a problem you could end up running into. So delay before the first shot. You'll notice that as soon as the level runs, it shoots its first bullet. Right? This, let's say you want to have 2 turrets that shoot alternatingly from each other. So let's take this turret, duplicate it, and drag it to the left a little bit. If we press play, they both are firing in exact synchronization. Let's say we wanted the turret in front to shoot a little bit slower than the other one. So like turret 1 will shoot, then turret 2 will shoot, then turret 1 will shoot. So we can change shot delay to, let's say, half a second. So each of these has 1 shot every second, and if this first one delays, then they'll basically be offset. So you press play, and then that turret see, now they're offset. So you can do things where it's like, okay, you have to run through these bullet areas. See? That's what the delay's for. All right. Rotate degrees. So After you can set up the turret so that after each shot it will rotate. So like let's say 45 degrees, right? Every time that turret shoots, it will rotate and then shoot again. Pretty self-explanatory. The shot color is what color the bullet is. The shot size is how big the bullet is. One thing to watch out for with this is if you make the bullet too big, it can start colliding with other bullets or with itself or with the floor. So like let's make this really big. See? It just spawns a bullet and the bullet dies immediately. So make sure that you're setting that appropriately. And then destroy bullets on die. You're usually going to want to keep this checked, but later on we're going to have ways of killing enemies. If this is checked and the enemy dies, all of its bullets will die with it. So if you want the bullets to stick around after the enemy dies, you want to uncheck this. So that's everything for the turret. The turret is a script that shoots things. Later on, you'll be able to combine this with other scripts to make more complex enemies. But to start with, these are static turrets that can rotate and shoot.